Initiating podcast download. Prepare yourself. Put on your spandex. Lace up your boots. Wrap your wrists. Hide your razor blade. Head to gorilla position. Grease up your hair. Apply baby oil. Okay, apply more baby oil. Get into gimmick. Keep your ears open and your mouth shut. Have fun and be safe out there, brother. Welcome to Iron on Wrestling. Now your host, Gregory Iron.
Hello again, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Iron on Wrestling with Gregory Iron. I'm your host, Gregory Iron, and this is episode 251.
Pardon the interruption.
Oh, boy.
Did that rhyme? 251, pardon the interruption.
Maybe if you would have said pardon.
No.
Pardon, one.
One and interruption. Anyway, Aaron Bauer's in the building. I'm along with my friend Greg.
Hi.
You my friend.
Good to see you.
Hey, it's great to see you.
And you know what? We've had some better days, for sure. You know, you've been going through some stuff with your dad.
Mm-hmm.
Pops is doing okay, right?
Yeah, we're looking at getting out of the hospital within the next couple of days here.
Good.
Triple bypass, open heart surgery. Took a vein from his leg, stuck it in his heart, and
Wow.
the man's up and walking. And, you know, our bodies are a wonderland.
Good.
Yeah.
Good to hear.
So, and what about you?
Well, I'm doing fine. You know, no complaints here. But I will say, personally, you know, Johnny Gargano is not my immediate family, but I think, you know, I'm just as close with him as I am with my brothers, and I've spent a lot of my time with him. We're always texting, we're always hanging out, and, you know, someone that I love and his family, which is essentially my family, they've had some hard times recently. We're going to talk about that for the first time after the horrific incident that occurred at his father's catering shop over on West 25th in Cleveland, Ohio. Unfortunately, this past Sunday, the building is no more, and, you know, between you and I, and of course Johnny, you know, with it being his father's business, we got a lot of memories at that venue, both personal and professionally, and we're going to look back at some of those memories today. A little bit of the history of professional wrestling at Gargano's Catering. I guess before we go to the interview with Johnny, we got to get our plugs out of the way, you know, pay some bills. Feels like a weird transition to have to do that, but
Well, look, we're building up strength in our podcast and in our bodies.
yeah.
And that's all thanks to our good buddy, our good friend, our good compatriot, Mike at TNT Health.
That's right. You know, if you're on your fitness journey for the first time, or if you're in the middle of a fitness journey, if you're looking for something new on that path, perhaps you should look at TNT-health.com, where they have a plethora of supplements over on their website that you can check out. In fact, I'm utilizing some of their stuff, like their creatine before I work out to help for my gains, my glutamine to help with my muscle recovery post-workout. No soreness in my world. And you know what? I feel like, honestly, the last few months using the creatine on a regular basis, just one scoop, I've been benching more. I've been doing incline bench, particularly a little bit more. And I just feel better overall, utilizing their vegan protein as well. If you visit them right now, you will save 10% on anything you buy. Anything and everything. Use our promo code IRONON, IRONON, and you'll save 10%. And, of course, you've been utilizing some of their stuff?
Yeah, I'm jacked as heck.
Okay.
Jacked as freaking heck.
Wow. Okay. Mike over at TNT Health, he's a great dude. He wants to not just sell you supplements, but he wants to help you get results.
Yeah, he wants 70%. Let's go get the Rad 140 and just see for yourself. These products we really believe in, and we believe in Mike.
TNT-health.com. Check him out right now, because at TNT Health, it's about your health today, not tomorrow.
Well, we're talking about health right now, and you know who's healthy?
Who's that?
My good buddy Juan.
Ooh.
He's of the Ortiz
Yes.
and of the Dead Designs.
Mm-hmm. Yes, they are consistently doing some amazing things with artwork. I mean, if you're looking for a logo for your company or organization, if you're looking for a special design for a product you'd like to market, perhaps maybe a T-shirt, I don't know, any type of advertisement, Juan Ortiz and of the Dead Designs is the place that you want to go to get the best results. Why? Well, he's been doing this for almost 20 years. He's had merchandise in Hot Topic. He's done designs for every single major champion in professional wrestling right now. If you don't know, go over to Of the Dead Designs for yourself and see all the guys that he's done work for. I don't have to name them all. I've done it in the past. I mean, I'll name a couple. Ethan Page.
Yeah.
He's a champion right now,
Yep.
right? MJF. He's a
Hey,
champion right now.
And just take those two right there and put them on clouds
Okay.
in the next design just to promote Juan. And I think they're maybe playing checkers with each other.
Okay.
And they're on clouds, and they also are going to go fishing afterwards.
And guess
Both
what?
have poles,
Juan
big
Ortiz,
poles.
all right, Juan Ortiz isn't playing checkers. He's playing chess, okay? Long game with Juan Ortiz. He wants to give you the best, and you're probably thinking, well, I can't afford the best. I'm on a budget here. Hey, Juan Ortiz can work with you, okay? He'll give you the best prices around, and if you tell him you heard his advertisement on Iron on Wrestling, he's going to knock $20 off of your first design. So, what are you waiting for? Go check out Of the Dead Designs on Instagram right now, facebook.com/ofthedeaddesigns, or go to his website, ofthedead.weebly.com, because Of the Dead Designs is bringing your artwork to life. Real quick, before we go to the interview with Johnny Gargano, I totally forgot one thing that we didn't talk about on this episode that happened at Gargano's Catering. You might have seen it on YouTube. Kevin Nash and Ravioli. Yes, that happened at the Gargano's Catering. And here's a little clip from Kevin Nash's podcast, Click This, talking about those events.
Some feedback to last week's show. Cheryl Salmons says, thanks to Click This podcast for your shows. It's been giving me something to look forward to since Scott's passing. You don't know how much I appreciate it. Is this a friend of his, a Cheryl name? Did he know? Cheryl? No. Okay. The Fifth Element. Seriously, the way you almost struggle with how good that ravioli is has been my benchmark for what I want out of ravioli ever since. So it turned people out, that little clip.
I think
Enjoying the ravioli.
I know. I had a good tweet on that. Somebody said something. I said, of all the things I've done, 15 years later, we're talking about me eating ravioli.
Yeah.
I guess it wasn't by mistake.
Well, that question led to this comment from Joe Dombrowski. Not just any ravioli, but the finest ravioli from Gargano's Catering, run by the dad of Johnny Gargano. I also learned no olives in the salad. Very thankful to Kevin Nash being a total pro and great to work with that whole weekend. Sincerely, a poor Mark. This is the guy that interviewed you for the Ravioli Show.
Yeah,
I don't know if that was called, but it should have been called the Ravioli Show.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. Did you know? Nobody knew who the hell Johnny Gargano was at the time, right? Because this was
right.
Yeah, happens. If that's true, then it's Johnny's dad's restaurant.
Kind of cool, right?
And with that being said, I think we need to bring this podcast to life and have a little conversation with our longtime, good, close, personal friend.
A brother of yours.
Yes.
A third or fourth cousin to me.
Okay, that works.
Yeah.
Johnny Gargano, WWE Tag Team Champion. Okay, it is a Tuesday afternoon, and we are sitting in lovely. Is it technically Avon or Avon Lake?
It's Avon.
Okay, Avon, Ohio, with one half of the WWE Tag Team Champions with the correct lineage,
Yeah.
Johnny Gargano.
Yep. I like how you specified that.
Had to.
Yeah.
I popped for it when we were talking about it last night. You know.
You're going to hear a crazy 2-year-old
Uh huh.
in the background of this podcast.
By having him in the
He
background.
may show up as well at some
That's
point.
fine. But even if he's in the background, it technically becomes his first podcast.
Yeah,
So that's
that
pretty
is
good.
true.
Aaron's here too.
He is here.
First
You
time
guys
at
got to
the-
share a microphone because it's a very professional setup.
Listen, I don't know what happened in the third mic. You don't got to bury the podcast while you're on it.
Right. I told you. I told you guys when you called me earlier. I listen to the podcast.
You do.
I travel a lot, so I this is one of the podcasts that I frequent.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
I hear every time you guys talk about me every single week almost.
We like you.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite episode? Do you have a favorite thing we've talked about?
A favorite thing you've talked about?
guest.
I like
Favorite
the fact
guest.
that the Alyssa Milano thing is behind a paywall, so I've never heard that
It's behind the
because I ain't
paywall.
paying for it.
Well, because we were
The
trying
Alyssa
to.
Milano poster.
Yeah. We had a conversation about Alyssa Milano.
That's behind a paywall, so I
Behind
don't know
paywall.
what that was discussed
Well,
about.
yeah, I'll send it to you.
Oh,
sometime.
thank you. I
Yeah,
appreciate that.
But
Not only I appreciate you sending me your paywalled podcast. I should get much more than that, considering I agreed to do this.
you did.
Jack Shea from Fox 8 News is busting down my door.
I don't even know who else is at Fox 8 anymore. Is Carl Monday still
Legit,
there?
I'm not. I didn't even just make that up. That's a legit real thing. I'm
Okay.
not. Yeah,
All right.
he's trying to get an interview with me, and
Yeah.
I legitimately went through the correct channels.
Yes.
Talked to WWE. Got this cleared just for you because you bugged me about it.
Listen,
'Cause I'm
hold
a
on.
good
No,
friend.
no. Now, I wouldn't say that I bugged you as much as I didn't want to bother you.
Sure.
We've done a lot of these episodes together.
Yeah.
Okay, and I know this is the main subject of what we're talking about is pretty serious, and while obviously you have far more many memories there, Aaron and myself have memories there, and it's Gargano's Catering was a staple of Cleveland wrestling in a lot of ways, and I called you to get some facts because I didn't think we can get this cleared so quickly.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to say a bunch of crap that was inaccurate or just didn't do your dad's place justice.
Yeah.
Because, there were some cool shows there, and there were some good times and some bad times and some times in between. But I'm glad that we can get you on the show to talk about it and kind of relive some of those memories. But I guess right off the top, the reason why we even decided to do this, and the news is getting out there now, obviously Sunday night now.
Yeah.
Only
2 days ago, really. At
Only
this point.
2 days ago. Why don't you talk about it? Let me set the stage from my point of view. So I'm sitting at my girlfriend's house, and it's about 10:30, and I start getting texts from my buddy Matt, who works for the Cleveland Police Department, and he is saying, "Hey, I think Gargano's Catering is on fire." And he sends me this Twitter. I don't know if is that the Twitter where you were seeing the live video?
Yes. So there's like a police slash
Like a scanner thing?
fire, like a weird scanner thing. That
Yeah.
I don't know if it just listens to the scanner and then tweets it out.
Yeah.
It's like Northeast Ohio, whatever the heck.
Yeah, so-
but no. So my thing started when my mom called me and asked if I talked to my dad, and I hadn't because it's like 10 p.m. at night. And she said that my cousin, who's a firefighter, reported that my dad's restaurant was on fire. And obviously the first thing that crosses my mind is, I hope there wasn't like a party in the hall that my dad was there and
Yeah.
the party ended and my dad was shutting everything down and then something happened. That was the first thing that crossed my mind.
Yeah.
Because he had no reason to be there at 10 p.m. on a Sunday night other than that. Because I tried to call my dad. He didn't answer. My dad never answers his phone. Again, he's 82 years old, so he doesn't know how to text. He doesn't know anything like that. So my mom, so in the house we're currently living in Avon, my mom lives in it as well. We live my dad lives 3 minutes away. It's one of the main reasons we bought this house. So my mom tried to call my dad. He didn't answer as well. She drove down to his house. Luckily, he was there. She informed him that his restaurant was on fire. He, of course, drove down there immediately. But I was in Orlando at the time, so I was getting all this information kind of in segments. It'd be my mom called me and told me, then I'd wait to see if she would go and find my dad, then we'd go there. So it was a whole thing. So of course, I got on Twitter, on social media, and searched. And there's amazing what Twitter does. I was finding out more, I think, on Twitter in Orlando than my parents were being there.
Yeah.
Which doesn't make a lot of sense. But.
Sure. It well, and so it was getting a lot of coverage, not only because I think it was, the fire got much bigger than even the firefighters anticipated, but it's on a pretty busy street in Cleveland, West 25th, right across from one of the bigger hospitals, and so it became a big story. But so the fire started as a very small deal that they thought they could put out, but I guess there was a water main break or something.
So like I said, if you follow the Twitter, if you look at the tweets, that's how I was getting all from my information. And then talking to my parents who were there as well, the fire was out at one point. It was under control. It was taken care of, and it hadn't spread that far. Like it was like only in one section of the building. It was a huge fire, but like only like maybe 1/3 of the building was damaged. Like when I was talking to my mom on the phone, she was like, "Oh yeah, the kitchen hasn't been touched, the hall hasn't been touched, everything's fine." I was like, "Oh, considering the fire, that's a win. Like that's great. Like the main component was still 100% fine."
Yeah.
And then literally like maybe like 15 minutes later, it's like, "Oh, the fire started again," and then it's like, "Oh, now the fire hydrants aren't working anymore, so there's no more water pressure, so they got to go to a different street. They had to go to Scranton, which is like if you know Cleveland, Ohio." Location, geography, like that's pretty far away from West 25th Street to try to get water. So I think it was just a crazy mix of things, because then like once the fire started again, it got to the gas lines that weren't turned off, and then the whole place went, which is crazy when you think about the circumstances of events that needed to happen to make that happen. But yeah.
And the roof ends up collapsing, and listen, it was terrifying to watch the little bit that I saw on YouTube, but it could have got even worse because it's right next to a gas station. So the fact that it didn't spread over there is probably a good thing, because that would have made it a bigger catastrophe over there. I'm only imagining this is ending up on YouTube because of obviously that Twitter, but because of the proximity with the hospital and everything. But like, I can't imagine if like my house set on fire and then this is being put onto the internet.
Yeah.
And now you're not even here.
Yeah.
And you're seeing this on YouTube, and this is like not just your dad's business, but like place you grew up in. It's like, your only job outside of wrestling. So like you were there often cooking food and everything. So like, I don't know, like what mixture of emotions is going through your mind as you're watching this?
It's really, I don't know if like I just haven't processed everything that's happened yet. I don't know, because because I haven't been there yet. So it does.
You haven't seen it yet.
No, I haven't seen it yet. Like I said, this is Tuesday. I flew in last night. Me and Quill flew in last night, so I think we're gonna go tomorrow to see everything. So I think then maybe I'll process it more. But like you said, it's literally the place where like I had probably my first birthday party there. I had my first everything there pretty much. My first wrestling match. It was my first job outside of high school. My first pretty much everything. Like I basically grew up there. Every single summer I'd be just in that restaurant.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I just haven't processed what that means for me. And at the end of the day, like I was just happy that my dad is okay, because like obviously buildings and things can be replaced.
Yeah.
But I think my dad being okay was my main concern. He's fine, and we just got to see what is going to happen moving forward, because that's my other worry. Like I'm less worried about like the building and things like that and the memories. Like obviously that all sucks and that bums me out, but like that was pretty much my dad's life. Is my dad's life. He did that. He was in that building, in that restaurant, working every day for almost 50 years. So what does that look like now for him? Then he doesn't have that anymore. I think that is the real concern to me, because I don't know. Like I said, he's 82, so hopefully he's at a point now where he just wants to relax and enjoy life. But I don't think he's there yet, so we'll see what happens.
You haven't seen any of the stuff that was on the news or anything with your dad?
My mom gave me the heads up that there is an emotional interview with my dad on the news.
Yeah.
I have not seen it.
I was hoping she didn't even say that.
I have not seen it.
Yeah.
I haven't really seen that much. I haven't turned on the news. I haven't seen much of it. I know it's been all over the place. Like I said earlier in this podcast, a lot of news outlets have obviously reached out to me.
Yeah.
Because even though my dad probably doesn't like this, I am the most famous Gargano there is. So
It wasn't that way though for a long time.
no, Frank Gargano. Obviously, you named, especially when we did those prison shows.
Yeah.
Frank Gargano, he's a superstar, man.
Wait, did he come up in the prison shows?
Yeah, you don't remember that?
I don't feel
because
like
of my dad's restaurant / bar. Like one of the inmates, a couple of the inmates came up to me. He was like, "Oh, Johnny Gargano, are you related to Frank Gargano?"
Jesus
I
Christ!
used to be at his bar all the time.
Yeah. So back in the day, before it was Gargano's Catering, what was the other name? Cafe?
I don't know, Cafe Amore.
Amore
He
or
tried to do
something?
a fancy coffee shop.
Okay,
thing. That didn't work.
yeah. But everybody knew it as Gargano's. But like back in the day, before we were even around, like our parents, they knew Gargano's. Like I found some old photo which I'll post on social media when it was called Gargano's Place, and everybody knew it as like a notorious, almost like a biker bar where like the tough guys would go to hang out, and there was like a different atmosphere than in the years that I'm sure you remember it, where it's just your dad's doing stuff for little local businesses, catering things. There was a time. Before I say this, what do you think is like the most noteworthy thing your dad ever catered for during his time? Because I know that there was a time where you were like, hey, my dad's going to be doing this catering thing for Amanda Bynes.
Yeah.
And I remember this
But
was
Amanda
before-
Bynes was like across the street at like Metro Hospital or something,
Was
right?
that the deal? I don't
think.
remember.
I don't remember it either.
All I know is like we were younger, so we're in our early 20s, and I was like, we should really help your dad out.
Yeah,
And
I remember that too, but I don't remember the specifics behind it.
Yeah.
Hey, Amanda Bynes started following me on Twitter one time because I tweeted something when she was going through.
Yeah.
Wow.
She was going
Yeah.
through,
Wow.
And she approved of it. She retweeted and she goes, "Yes, whatever this guy is saying." And all of a sudden, I had like 10,000 extra followers that unfollowed me the next day.
I do remember that.
Yeah,
That's
it was a big deal.
What a time. But yeah, your dad was a staple of the community, and a lot of people are upset about the loss of this business.
I think that's, I don't know if this is the wrong word to use, but I think that's the coolest thing about all of this. And again, cool is the wrong word to use, but
Yeah.
for lack of a better word, is all the people that are coming out now and talking about how much they love my dad's restaurant, how much they love the food, how much they what they did, how they visited it, this place, they visited then, like they always used to stop in after work, or my dad catered this event. Like it is. I hate the fact that as a society, that's kind of like the commonplace of like
Sure.
once something's gone is when you actually give it its flowers and
Yeah.
appreciate it more.
Yeah.
But that's what's happening now in this aspect. And a lot of people are like, oh, hopefully he can rebuild it. Hopefully, he can start over again. Like, my dad's 82.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if he has that desire,
Yeah,
right?
I don't know if he wants that anymore. And especially you think about the process and how badly it was destroyed. And when I tweeted everything out, I said it was badly damaged because typing my dad's restaurant burnt down felt wrong.
For sure. Yeah.
I felt like I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
Whenever people reach out and be like, your dad's restaurant burned down, I just felt like such a gut punch. So I just wanted to say badly damaged to kind of caress it a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it pretty much burnt down. And I don't think it's going to be rebuilt. I don't think it's going to be, it's going to start up again. I think this is pretty much the end of that. So
Yeah.
We'll see.
And I called your mom immediately and was talking to her yesterday, and she showed me the news story with your dad, and your mom's getting emotional, and so I'm trying not to get emotional to be here for her, and because it was a big part of her life too.
Yeah.
It was a family thing, right?
Mhm.
Like she worked there up until the last couple years.
Yeah.
She was helping out there. Your stepmom worked at the restaurant, and
It's also just so when I was in town for the David Njoku softball game, and me, I diet pretty heavily.
Yeah.
I'm pretty strict unless this is a day that I'm gonna eat bad. The David Njoku softball game, and again, I always go back to in weird ways, everything happens for a reason. When I was in town for the David Njoku softball game, after the game was over, I was like, let's go. I was going to go see my dad at his restaurant. And we went to my dad's restaurant. We saw him. And I hadn't eaten all day.
Yeah.
At all. We played in the softball game and we didn't eat food or anything like that. So I was starving. So I was just like, oh, what do you want, Candace? You want a pizza? So yeah, we made a pizza. So I made a pizza at my dad's restaurant.
Yeah.
And I ate it. And that isn't something I would usually do. Because I've had my dad's pizza my whole life.
Sure.
I would probably, if I'm going to have a meal, I'd have something I don't usually have.
Yeah.
But in that moment, I was like, I'm going to make a pizza at my dad's restaurant. I'm going to eat it. And that was the last time I was there.
Yeah.
So again, I don't want to say like everything happens for a reason, but like it is just wild that the last time I was in that building, I made a pizza and ate it one last time. So
Yeah.
if you think about it that way, that is, pretty
Yeah.
cool.
It
It bums me out that like Quill, when he's old enough to realize what's happening, isn't going to get to see all this stuff.
That's one of the first
That's
things
one of
I
the
thought
biggest
about.
bummers, right?
Yeah.
What about your homecoming though? I mean, that's all documented on
Yeah.
WWE Network
Yeah.
or whatever. Now,
Yeah.
so-
That's true. I didn't.
Yeah,
I
so
forgot about that.
There's that,
Uh-huh.
and that was a big deal, man. That was so cool. People got to see you come home for the first time.
Yeah.
Championship around your waist.
Yeah. And a lot of people remember or know of my dad's restaurant because of that or because of the segment we did with Adam Cole in that restaurant as well. I think another big bummer on top of that is like so many people are coming to town for SummerSlam and SmackDown that all these people were going to be like, I want to go to your dad's restaurant. So business-wise, he was going to do probably the best he's done in a very, very long time because all these people are going to come in and want to see my dad's restaurant.
I obviously, maybe it's too short notice, right? But it would be amazing if like something could be done that weekend to where like we live in a time where Uber Eats, there's a lot of like
Yeah.
pop-up type deals,
Yeah,
right?
Ghost Kitchen food truck.
Dude, if there was a way to do like a pop-up Gargano's Catering, maybe just for that weekend, so all these wrestling fans coming to the city could get a taste of what your dad
Yeah.
has done for all these years. Like,
I just don't even know what that looks like.
neither do I. But like, I'm just thinking about like the world we live in now, and it's like this is such a shitty situation, and like, dude, it's not even my restaurant. Like, I'm emotional, and like, Frank means a lot to me.
Yeah.
And the last time I was there, it was for my dad's celebration of life.
Yeah.
Right. And there was a couple places we were looking at to rent out, a couple places that people offered, but Frank gave us his place for the day for a super reasonable price. And between him and your mom, they cooked stuff for us. They were in and out all day helping us with everything. Like, it meant the world to me, man. And to have to watch that video on the news and like him kind of getting emotional and like knowing how like what a serious
Yeah, he does not get emotional.
yeah, he's a tough guy, man.
does not get emotional.
Like it
I think I get that from him, by the way. I think that's.
I know you get
I
it from him.
I get it from my
you
dad.
100%
Yeah,
get it from
yeah.
him. But I don't know, like maybe this is just in a stupid, shitty way. Like maybe it's time for your dad to enjoy retirement.
Trust
You
me,
know
like,
what I mean?
And honestly, like when I was talking to him, like he was accepting the fact that maybe he wasn't going to be working at the restaurant much longer.
Yeah.
And he was talking about like, oh, I'll come and visit you guys. I'll like hang out more with like Nick and my brother, like things like that.
Yeah.
So like, I think it is something that he's accepted, but it's just one of those things too, where I even brought up to him like, well, what are you going to do then? Like it's one of those things where my dad is a very regimented person. And like, here we are, we're 2 days after the building is burnt down, and Monday morning he got up, he went into the restaurant at 7:30 in that building.
Yeah.
Today he got up 7:30, went to the building. The building doesn't exist anymore, and he's still going there every day at 7:30.
Well, I think that's something that it comes with trauma,
Yeah,
right?
for sure,
And it's
yeah.
routine, and
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sure it's surreal. Like, again, not even my catering shop. I'm watching it on YouTube, and I can't even imagine this is a real thing.
Yeah.
It's just so let's touch on like a couple important things real quick, and then we're going to talk about some of the better memories of Gargano's. One, is anything salvageable from there?
I don't think so, no.
Nothing.
I think the building is actually going to be torn down next week.
Okay.
From what I've heard.
Okay.
I don't know of anything salvageable. Hey, Quill, you want to talk on the microphone?
We could be getting Quill Gargano's
Quill,
first podcast.
You want to talk? Yes, come here. Yes or no?
Come on. Now's your chance.
You want to talk?
This is your time. You can tell them how you count.
Yeah. You want to count?
Come on over.
No.
Count to 3.
Yeah, he can count to 10.
Oh, yeah, higher. He was doing
so
11,
you're doing
12.
special
He can
guest
count to
referee
10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
SummerSlam.
He can count to 10.
Yeah. But nothing salvageable.
I don't think so. Like from the pictures I've seen, and I said I'm going there tomorrow to see it in person, but I don't think anything's salvageable. I think like it's, and which kind of sucks because like if he were to sell it, like we already called dibs on, like I want the pizza table and I want this and I want this to have to remember it, but like it's not around anymore.
I guess the last couple things is there insurance, and do we know how the fire started?
No, I haven't. I assume there's insurance. I'm not sure. I believe there is. I think they're still figuring all that out.
Yeah.
How the fire started, I don't think they know yet. That's under investigation right now. Like there's obviously been talk of arson. There's been talk of various things like that. So they're gonna find all that out. Like I said, it's only been 2 days, so I think there's still like investigation and paperwork, and they gotta look into a bunch of stuff. So that's all. We don't have really any information right now.
Let's talk about one of the best things to come out of Gargano's Catering that obviously had a huge impact on your whole life. Because of your love of wrestling, there starts to be these wrestling shows ran at Gargano's Catering. And this starts, according to my calculations here on the internet, thanks to Hank Hudson, famed ring announcer who also came up with Cactus Jack's hometown. August 10th, 1997 would have been that first event in which featured Jimmy Snuka versus Heavy Metal Maniac in the main event. And talk to me about how that got organized between your dad and Cleveland Wrestling Alliance.
Yeah, so my dad knew I was a big wrestling fan, obviously. And a local independent company, CWA, approached my dad and asked if they could run a show in his parking lot. Because I guess his parking lot is a great arena for professional wrestling. He said, yeah, of course, like as long as my son can get in the ring, he loves wrestling, that'd be great. And then they talked about like stars they could have on the show, and I think like they brought him Jimmy Superfly Snuka, and I think my dad backed that. I think my dad paid for the star, I guess.
Okay.
I think that was the deal. Like they'd run the show and everything, but my dad would like pay for like the star that would come in.
How much do you think Jimmy Snuka was in 1997?
I have
He
no
he
idea.
just got inducted into the still very new
500?
WWF Hall of Fame. $500. I would guess $500.
I was going to say 8.
8, yeah.
Oh,
I think
okay.
5 and 8.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Because guys were doing, like we got Sabu in '98, and his going rate was 1,000 or 1,200. We got him for less than that because he was trained by Howard the Animal Steel.
Yeah, good old Howard.
I guess that amount. I know that Jimmy Superfly Snuka and Heavy Metal Maniac was a package deal. They only wrestled each other. That was a thing.
Okay.
So they had like their match that they do. They like travel all over the Indies and do like a set match.
Mm-hmm.
But Snuka couldn't read, right? That's why Heavy Metal Maniac was with him.
Oh, I have no idea.
That might be a thing.
I was
Now,
a child, so
yeah.
I couldn't read either. I mean, I guess I could. I was 8.
when you think of traveling wrestling duos that did the same match, you also think of guys like Josh Prohibition and M-Dog,
Yeah.
or perhaps maybe, CM Punk, Colt Cabana back in the day.
Yeah.
How do you
Very
think
comparable.
Jimmy Snuka and Heavy Metal Maniac compared to matches of that
You mean
caliber?
work rate wise?
Yes.
I
yes.
mean, I think probably 1A, 1B, 1C.
Okay, all right, yeah, that sounds about right. This is where you'd end up having, I guess, quote unquote, your first wrestling match.
Yeah. So there was a delay. There was always a delay. I feel in those shows. Like,
Yeah.
It was running whatever. Something was running.
Indie
late.
wrestling time.
Yeah.
Okay, that we say it to this
and
day.
of course, in typical fashion, they were like, "Hey, like we got to kill time. Does your son and his friend want to get in the ring and have a match?" Obviously, I had not been trained.
Mm-hmm.
The most wrestling I've done was with the stuffed animal and like maybe like a little thing with my buddy.
Yes.
But I had ring gear ish because
Yeah.
my mom and I would go to the thrift store and she'd make me gear.
Yeah.
And so I wrestled my friend, and the only distinct memory I have, and I've told this story a few times, the only distinct memory I have is of my finish at the time because my wrestling name was Jag, because my initials are John Anthony Gargano. I had a perfect plex that I called the Jagged Rock.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember in the moment, like we're having this match, it's probably horrible, and the only thing I remember is like I hit this beautiful perfect plex, like perfect height, bridge, just beautiful. And in my mind, I'm like, I freaking nailed this thing. watching it back. I don't have the tape currently, but I remember I watched it back later on. Like it's literally like the smallest little small package of all
I'm
time.
sure. Yeah. Yeah. It's
It's like literally not even like it's like you just fall.
You know, so when we lived together, there are a lot of things that I salvaged of yours. My one regret is not when I had the tape copiers and the tape to DVD converters, not converting more of your VHS from around that time period, because you had a lot of that stuff.
Yeah,
like
the match was on tape somewhere.
Yeah,
so
like-
it lives. Someone recorded it.
Yeah,
it's
and-
living somewhere.
And when we were talking on the phone, you know, we got to talk to Rod. Rod might have some of this stuff.
And I filmed all of Rod's stuff.
Yeah, and you.
So I filmed at Gargano's in '97.
Okay.
That's when I started. I don't recall that show.
But you filmed
But after that, I remember the Dream Team maybe.
Yeah, that would have been September 20th,
So
1997.
you told me these dates, and I didn't even realize that the shows were like month to month. We were running almost every month.
Was it?
August, September, and then I assume we did October as well.
You might have. I mean, so I'm going off of, because I wrote Hank a couple days ago after this happened. I said, Hank, I know you have all this information. Like, someone needs to get a hold of Hank and go archive his house, because he has so much indie wrestling information that, Aaron, you could testify to this, isn't on the internet anywhere else. And I know it's correct, because he has like just piles and piles of notes, and I'm sure it's not organized properly. But he said everything that he posted on his post is all of the info he knows about Gargano's. And then I think there's a couple other things on Cage Match that might be a little bit more in depth. But he's got like pictures of some posters that I've never seen. I have a few of these posters. But what it looks like to me is we got August 10th, 1997, September 20th, 1997. That would have been Greg Valentine and Brutus Booty Beefcake on the flyer versus Theater of Pain, Psycho Mike and Gmo.
Yep.
This, of course, is also, if I can find it, because I definitely have this on DVD, the TV title match, the infamous TV title match between the Champ, the Jock, and the Juggernaut.
Yeah, that was a famous one. Yeah.
Doink the Clown versus Lord Zoltan
Yep.
is on this show.
Yeah. That's another pair.
That
Yes.
was the first and only time those two ever wrestled each other.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course.
Yeah. And Doink was
TC.
TC, and so
Almost.
let's talk about real quick, since we're on this show for a second. Do you remember anything about the Greg Valentine Brutus the Barber Beefcake match? Or
I
the
remember
situation?
that I believe, again, because I was 8 or 9, maybe 9, they had a double shot that day, so they wanted to be on earlier in the show. And I believe they were on earlier in the show. It ended up working out that way.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember my dad was upset because they wanted to be in the main event, obviously. Like, you're paying these stars to be there. You want them to be in the main event, but they wanted to get on earlier. I also remember there might have been a screwy finish because, like, they were wrestling at Theater of Pain and they're undefeated.
Yeah.
And
Theater of Pain won. I'm pretty sure they
yeah,
won.
I don't, but I think there might have been a little bit of an issue there.
I have this match somewhere because, again, when we lived together, somewhere upstairs, I found like it should have been differently named, but it was called Best of Theater of Pain. It was definitely had Theater of Pain matches for sure, and one of them is this tag match, and I do remember it being a Theater of Pain match for sure. Eddie the Jock and the Juggernaut, TV title. There was a special stipulation on that match.
Yeah, I know we've joked about this a lot. I'm trying to remember what it was. I know the TV title was only on the line for like 20 minutes or 40
I think
minutes?
15 minutes.
15
For-
minutes,
I
okay.
can't imagine that match going
I
40 minutes.
I wish.
Jesus. So the stipulation is it's a TV title match, but it's only on the line for 15 minutes. And if the Juggernaut can't win the title in 15 minutes, then it just becomes a regular match, okay? And you can't win the TV title anymore. The psychology in this match is second to none.
Yeah.
You were sitting in the crowd for this one.
I don't remember it in the moment. I remember if you watch the tape, I haphazardly stick my hand out when the Juggernaut runs around the ring, and
Because you were embarrassed.
I was embarrassed. Yeah.
So if you had to describe the Juggernaut's attire, now I think most people out there are picturing, well, you know, if you're a fan of X-Men, you're probably thinking like some sort of big helmet.
Did he have the Magneto helmet on at that point? I don't think he did
no.
yet.
So I mean, so that's important to point out. Oftentimes, the Juggernaut wore a child's Magneto helmet.
Yeah.
Okay, because one time in your closet, I found
Yeah.
a Magneto helmet. I said, "Oh, is this from when you were a kid?" And you said, No.
It was mine though.
Okay, so it was yours,
Yes.
but it was the helmet that
Yeah.
the Juggernaut wore
Yeah.
in his
Yeah, it didn't really
wrestling
make
matches.
sense.
No, which is surprising because the Juggernaut, by all accounts, was also a comic book fan. So you think like this little slight
Well, maybe he was
detail.
cosplaying as Magneto that. that
Okay, all right. Well,
night.
you're
He was
still
doing
Juggernaut.
special attire.
But his attire
Yeah.
was typically Zubaz,
Uh huh.
some sort of like Looney Tunes T-shirt,
Yeah. Sometimes. Yeah.
sometimes of the airbrushed variety,
Yeah.
and steel toe boots.
Mm-hmm.
So, in this match, do you remember how it plays out?
I remember that the title is only on the line for 15 minutes, and then I remember that Juggernaut, the challenger, kind of just lets the clock expire. He doesn't go for a pin.
Because he knows it's booked for him not to
Of course.
win the TV title.
Yeah.
And also, the hilarity in the footage, and if I find it, I will put it on YouTube. I have it. Hank Hudson is giving time cues
Yeah.
over the mic. So,
Yeah.
5 minutes have gone by, 5 minutes, 10 minutes have gone by, 10 minutes. And that one point goes, well, the owner of a Ford license plate number, and it's like, okay, and this is happening during the match.
Yeah.
So at some point, Juggernaut has the match won. Okay? Do you remember this at all,
Yeah.
Aaron? He has the match won. He's standing on the top rope.
Yeah. He's showboating.
I mean, like, Hank's counting down seconds now, okay?
Yeah, hey.
59, 58. And
Got
he's
too
like,
cocky.
before he goes to the top rope, I should point out that after selling for an obnoxious long time, he
Yeah.
just rolls out of the ring.
Yeah.
And this is where you stick out your hand
'Cause he
haphazardly.
said, I love you. I need you.
He's saying, I love you, I need you,
To the
as he
fans.
tags all the hands of the fans in the
Gave
crowd.
him energy.
It gives him energy. He goes maybe 1-2 laps around. Then he slides in the ring. What's he going to do? And he throws arguably the worst drop kick you will ever see in the history of professional
Had too
wrestling.
much power.
And too
We
much
gave him too
power.
much.
Yeah, and he goes to the top rope. He's stalling. It's like 10 seconds left. He does this big, terrible splash off the top.
Yeah.
The time elapsed, and he does not win the TV title. But the match continues.
Yep.
Soon after, Eddie the Jock beats him.
Yep.
What happens immediately after? Do you recall?
Eddie the Jock beats him. Is this isn't the Roadhog thing, is it? Or is it a different?
No.
That's a different one.
Lixie Sack.
Oh, okay. I don't remember.
Lixie Sack
Okay.
comes out to the ring. Now this is
Oh, this is he wins the title.
this
in
is
like
10 years
10
before
seconds,
like
right?
Money in the Bank cash-ins. Yeah, he comes out
Yeah, that makes sense.
and he issues a challenge for the TV title.
Yeah.
And yeah, he beats him in about 10 seconds.
As he should. He's OP, man. He's overpowered.
Juggernaut had a lot of egg on his face, and so there's no heat between Juggernaut and Lixie Sack, to your knowledge.
Heat in like story
Storyline, like they never followed up with that or anything.
No.
no
You think
continuity.
There was a story here.
None whatsoever.
No.
No, because then there was a winter show at the Eagles Nest, the Seasons Beatings, and the Juggernaut went over on the Crow for the championship there. So I remember him saying, "Now you know why I didn't win the TV title."
No.
Because he was
Okay.
in one and he hit the superplex and won
Oh, that was his
the
finisher.
world championship.
That was his finisher.
Yeah.
The Superplex was the Juggernaut's finisher.
Which is great because you're often taught in professional wrestling.
it out
You
of
want
nowhere.
something you just hit out of nowhere. So he's like, I think I'll go with the superplex.
yeah,
you
hey,
know.
big move.
To be fair, for a while JT's finish, JT
Was
Lightning,
Superplex.
it was
Yeah, Superplex rolling into
it was like a super fisherman buster. He would like hook the leg.
I thought he did the Superplex and roll into. Is that?
It might have been a
just
super, but
sticking
I'm pretty positive it was like he would hook the leg and do like a super fisherman buster and then roll through
Oh, okay.
into a regular fisherman
maybe,
buster.
yeah, maybe,
Like
yeah.
too ridiculous, right? So you claim that I'm looking at a poster that says Gargano's Sunday, August 2nd, which we believe would be 1998, and it's advertising the NWO.
Yeah, that never
Jimmy
happened.
Snuka versus Sheik Abdul Hassan.
No.
You say that never
That
happened.
never happened.
And Aaron, you think that was the show that happened at Club
1148 maybe.
1148. Is this the show with Virgil?
He was Virgil was NWO mystery opponent.
Okay.
And I remember thinking, all right, it's going to be Nash.
Like, do you have the King Kong Bundy show on there? Or no?
Was it only the one show in 2006, or was it an early? Because I'm thinking of the one that I was on, which we could talk about if you want.
I want to say he had King Kong Bundy earlier than that. Maybe he did.
I feel like he did
Now I
too
don't
because
know.
like when I was a kid,
I thought he had him twice. He's had King Kong Bundy a few times.
I would guess he did, but I mean I don't have that info because I remember even before I knew you or knew.
Yeah,
of
because there's a
what-
picture of me and my dad with little. When I was little. I would say little King Kong Bundy. I
Yes.
was little with King Kong Bundy. So
Yeah.
I'd imagine.
Why are you saying Bundy?
I don't know. I said it that one time, but I don't
So,
pronounce it that
so
way.
you said
Kong Bundy.
hold on. So you said it wrong, and then
Yeah.
you just rolled with it as if like
Yeah.
that's how it's said.
I said it.
Okay.
I think I said Bundy. And then I said Bundy. and then
Okay,
yeah.
King Kong Bundy.
Yeah.
I could see that being like the Howard Animal Steel of the Independents for sure.
The thing.
Well, he had twin brother, right?
Did he wrestle Bane on the 2006 one?
No,
Cronus.
Oh, he was
Chris
a
Cronus.
Cronus.
Yes,
I
and-
want to say he
and-
wrestled.
Not John
Oh,
Cronus.
I think he wrestled Kodiak Scott Stone
Aaron.
That makes sense.
early, like when I was
Because
little.
Kodiak Scott Stone was supposed to be the
Yeah, the big guy.
big giant.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I want to say that was a thing that happened.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean I believe
I
it.
But I
Remember
think King
that?
Kong Bundy came in on a JT show early.
He might have.
But I'm not again.
What I remember from the 2006 show with King Kong Bundy. So this is like maybe like my third match or something. I'm in a battle royal. King Kong Bundy worked Cronus. Aaron, were you there or no?
No.
Okay. I remember Bobby Potter was the referee, and something happened where he didn't do the 5 count for the finish and call for the bell, and Bundy smacked Potter in the face.
Oh,
And I remember that being a thing in the locker room that like people were freaking out about because I was like, oh no, I don't want
It's
to get
5, man.
smacked in the face by King Kong Bundy.
Yeah.
That's also the show where Alex Shelley wrestled you,
Yeah.
and he forgot his ring gear.
They borrowed your ring gear.
So he wore my ring gear
Yeah.
because it was a joke that him and Sabin had just recently been at an airport on a flight delay, and they started messing around in wheelchairs. So I guess it was an inside joke that he wanted to show Sabin.
Oh.
So he's like, "Hey, can I wear your ring
I
gear?"
didn't know that part of it.
Yes, that's what because I was like, why would he want to wear my? Because at first, like as a kid, I'm like, is he trying to make fun of me or something? Like I don't know, or is he gonna do? Is he gonna rib me? You know, like it's still
Yeah.
2006, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna get beat up by a wrestler or something. And yeah, I guess that was the joke behind it. So there's footage. I have it. You and Alex Shelley, and
Yeah.
he's wearing my gear.
Yeah. And then I guess before that, it would be the show that I debuted in.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that would have been August 6th, 2005. Now, but to be fair, if you debuted in August of 97, that makes you like a nearly 30-year
Yeah,
veteran
that sounds
of the
about right.
sport.
Yeah, that sounds
That's
about right.
At what point do you think that was there at any point before JT Lightning that you got anything that could have even resembled formal wrestling training by anybody?
Before JT?
Yes, like someone like showed you something that in retrospect you're like, actually that was
I mean,
good
I
teaching.
learned how to bump when I was like 9.
Do you think you were natural, or do you think like the assistance of someone like Ojimo or Psycho Mike might have actually helped you bump properly?
What do you mean?
Like who's showing you how to bump, right? Like how is a kid bumping
So like
without hurting himself?
JT was around.
Okay,
when I
so
was
that
younger.
makes sense. Okay, so JT
I've
showing
known
you back
JT
then.
when I was like child.
Yeah.
I used to play with Hannah and Mikey, and I used to
I
play
forgot
with his
about
kids.
that. Yeah.
So I did that, and then like obviously Wally and of them as well. But yeah, so I knew how to bump and I knew how to throw strikes and stuff because like I would practice on like a wall and how to do it, like punches and things like that. And like
How did you know to do that?
I want to say JT told me that.
Okay.
If you get too close, you'll know because you'll hurt your hand.
Yeah.
So that I used to practice when I was like 9, like 10 back then. But like I had a few, I guess I want to say matches. Like so I had obviously a few at my dad's restaurant. I may or may not have broken my friend's leg on a figure 4
Oh no.
in the October version of one of the shows my dad ran.
So that would have been like 97 or 98.
Yeah, I think 97.
Okay.
Or maybe 98. Maybe 98 sounds more correct. So I did that one. I did a couple of them. I did a show in Norwalk, Ohio.
Okay.
So I was traveling the circuit
Sure.
for a little bit.
Making towns.
Yeah.
Brother. This first official match, August 6, 2005. It wasn't just any regular match for the Prodigy,
Yeah.
John Gargano.
Prodigy John Gargano.
It was a tables match.
Yeah, it wasn't a tables match.
It was not. You just use a table for a finish.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So
Yeah.
yeah, anything goes kind of in
It was
CWA.
referee leniency.
Okay.
Referee's discretion.
Can you even imagine? Like, you know what? I think I'll let tables go in this match. So it's you and
Wally
Heel
Roethlisberger.
and the story behind that is based on Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback at the time?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So just cheap heel heat.
Which, to be fair, I didn't need.
No, you did.
Like, the show was in the back of my dad's restaurant already.
Yeah.
You were
So-
Gargano
Yeah.
of Gargano's Catering.
We didn't need to put that extra. It's like a hat on a hat. You didn't need to put the extra element on it.
Besides the fact that obviously it's your dad's place, like, was there any other scenario in which you could have imagined having your first match, or was it always kind of like, was that show booked specifically to be your first match?
I don't remember. I don't think it was. I think it just worked out that way because I was obviously training for like since I was like 15, 16.
And at the time, you're
Like,
just
I mean,
about
like,
to,
really training.
You're about to turn 18 in like
yeah,
a
so
week
I was
at this point.
17.
Okay.
So I mean, when I had my first match, I was 17 years old. So
And you, how long were you training at that point?
I mean, I probably started training when I was like 15, 16.
Okay.
So
And-
probably like a couple years.
And then this is your first match. Did you practice this match?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
How often did you practice
I
it?
mean,
do you
probably
remember?
at least a few times a week.
Okay.
I'd imagine.
Yeah. This show also featured Buff Bagwell versus JT Lightning.
Uh-huh. And that's the famous time where Buff Bagwell, my dad asked Buff Bagwell if my son was going to make it, and Buff Bagwell said no.
That was it. No other.
That pretty much.
No
He's
other
like,
comments.
What do you think, Buff? Do you think my son's got it? You think he's got it in him? Buff was like, no, he doesn't.
I mean, that's kind of messed up to say about a
Right?
17-year-old kid.
Right.
I mean, like, you know, you probably haven't even hit your peak.
No.
You know, physically.
Yeah.
I mean, give the kid a break. But, you know, also, you know, Buff
Yeah.
had a lot of personal
He
demons
did.
at the time.
He's since apologized. Well, his
To
Twitter
you?
account apologized.
Okay, yeah. So we don't know if it's him running the account for sure.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, not sure if he actually did it, but the person that ran his Twitter did.
we don't know what month it was. But what do you remember about the famous CWA rooftop match at Gargano's
Yeah,
Catering?
was that a rooftop match, or did they just jump off the roof?
It was not a rooftop match
Yeah.
by all counts. They did just, in fact, jump off
Yeah,
the
he
roof.
just jumped off the roof.
Yeah, so, but what was the match exactly? Like, who
It
was
was
in
Theater
it?
of Pain versus Theater of Pain versus Juggernaut and Roadhog,
Okay.
I believe.
Any backstory?
Juggernaut used to be a member of the Theater of Pain.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was a three-man
Yeah.
team at one
Yeah,
point.
it was a three-man team at
And
one
then
point.
they were also the Darkness.
Oh, I don't remember
That
that.
was in Lorraine. They were the Darkness.
Okay, okay.
They weren't Theater of Pain.
I'm trying to look at like these exact cards to just see if there's anything that comes to mind. Like, stop me if I say a name and you have something to say about them. From the August 6, 1997 show, CWA Against the Law, Back Alley Brawl is how it's listed on Cage Match. Mr. Main Event defeats Jose Perez.
Oh.
I remember Jose Perez.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember he was like a fat guy, and then but he went away for like, I don't know, 6 months and came back, and he was just jacked.
Okay.
He came back as his gimmick wasn't just a fat guy anymore. He,
That
he
his
was a
gimmick.
surfer. He bleached his hair blonde.
Okay.
I don't
He came
remember
out
any of
with
that.
some lady named Victoria,
Okay.
maybe Lady Victoria.
Okay.
And quite possibly a surfboard.
Okay. He's like, can you imagine him having a conversation with someone just like, I want to come back and do something different. I'm tired of my gimmick just being that I'm fat. What can I do to change? Okay, so CWA Light Heavyweight Title 3-way elimination.
Uh-huh.
Angel Torres, that would be Spanish Fly,
Uh-huh.
defeats Brian Ireland and Elvis Elliott with
Oh.
Eddie Kaufman.
Yeah.
Now, we talked about this earlier today, and
Yeah.
obviously I know from knowing you, Brian Ireland was one of your favorite wrestlers.
was, yeah.
Because you actually respected and appreciated guys who,
Yeah.
bought gear.
All the body slammers guys,
Yeah.
I had like I loved them because they had like great gear and good music, like Brian Ireland.
Brian Ireland, we thought was Chris Benoit.
Yeah, yes.
He looked just like Chris Benoit.
I think who Cody Scott Stone was a body slammers guy. What's the other name? Kid Copperpot.
Yeah.
Delicious Devin Daniels.
Yes, which I think I've told you. I've walked up to Danny
Uh-huh.
back when I was doing AAW, and I was just like, "Hey man, just so you know, Johnny put you over as like
Yeah.
one of his favorite
Yeah.
wrestlers when he was like watching indies.
I
all
also
the time
think
as
it's
a kid.
because he came out of Truly Madly
Yep.
Deeply by Savage
Yeah.
Garden.
It was a
And,
very
like,
popular
the,
song.
Yeah, the song with like
Yeah.
just the song with the entrance made it. The
Yeah.
whole, it had handprints on his butt cheeks.
Yeah, but so when I would tell him this, he thought I was like fucking with him. I'm
no,
just like,
real.
I'm not lying.
Yeah,
like he
real.
really thought. And
There was one time where Rod was like, "I'm gonna put you with Delicious Devin Daniels,"
Yeah.
and I was like,
Yeah.
"Okay, do I get the music and
Yeah.
everything?" And then we formed like a trio with Sweet Stevie Lee, who's no longer with us, but I think our faction name was Finger Licking Good.
There you go.
that sounds about right.
Yeah.
But you know,
Kodiak Scott Stone and Delicious Devin Daniels wrote a tag team called Vicious and Delicious.
that's
I remember that.
Yeah.
very good name. I do remember not too long ago, last couple of years on IWTV. I want to say I was watching Danny versus Chris Sabin.
Yeah, probably.
Dude.
That makes sense.
All I know of Danny, because I never went to those shows, obviously, is just some guy who wants to be a cheapskate and not pay me my rate, okay? But, like, watching this match, he was going in. He
Yeah,
was
he's
so
good.
good.
Yeah, he's good.
Him and Sabin was
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, it was
like,
really good.
incredible. Okay, what else is on this card? We got, lost my place here because I'm looking at cage match. Where did it go? Okay, Chris Morris and Ted Zeppelin defeat Bulldozer and Lixie Sack with Sheik Abdul Hassan.
Chris Morris sounds familiar to me.
Okay.
I feel like
Oh, he was a young gun.
Oh yeah, he was the young gun, Chris
Yeah.
Morris. Yeah. Wait, that's Chuck.
Yeah.
Oh my God! No, Chuck.
Yeah.
So
Right?
Chuck.
That's his name, White Sox Johnson?
Chuck
Yeah.
White Sox Johnson from PWO fame, which, by the way, I didn't realize this till years later. His last name is Jackson, and we
Oh,
called
it was
him
Johnson.
Exactly. We thought it was funny that his last name was Johnson, which is why his name became White Sox Johnson.
Yeah.
But it turns out it's Jackson, so we just made
You know
his
when you
name
figured
worse.
that out? When
I
he
think-
sent me that check for $25 to purchase the rights to Burning River
He
Wrestling.
did do that. The rights that you definitely did not have in any way, shape, or form, and he could have just took the name, and you couldn't have done anything about it. CWA heavyweight title number contendership, three-way elimination. So we have multiple three-way matches on here. Brett Powers defeats Scott Stone
Yeah.
and Smasher Sloan Jr.
I don't remember that one.
Brett Powers was wrestling up until at least 6 years ago.
Oh,
Was Brett any good?
I can't remember.
He was in Power Team USA.
He was in Power Team with Rod, right?
Rod, yeah,
Okay.
I think Rod replaced him.
Which, by the way, Power Team USA, for those who are like, wow, that sounds very familiar, because they just stole the name from the team that Sting was in, with Jim Hellwig. So just throw that out there. CWA television title match, Doink the Clown defeats Eddie Kaufman. Eddie the Jock is all over the show.
Yeah,
that is a
he's-
common theme, I know, at least in Cleveland wrestling, where they
Yeah.
just, the heels like to just take over the whole show
Hey.
to the point where it's like go away heat. I
Heel
feel.
Town.
Yeah, okay.
And I think NWO had started by then.
Yes.
And the NWO were in like 6 segments for Nitro. Mm-hmm. And that's what Eddie the Jock and his crew would do, the Stud Stable.
You said your dad paid for the names to come in. How do you think he felt when Head Shrinker Samu wrestled in the heavyweight title match against Bounty Hunter in only 3 minutes and 13 seconds?
That was a quick one.
Yeah. How do you think your dad felt about
I don't think he cared
didn't
about
care?
match times.
No. And, of course, the main event, not the heavyweight title match, it's the CWA Tag Team title, Back Alley Brawl,
Yeah.
Theater of Pain, which is G-Mo and Psycho Mike versus Hot Seat Productions, Alexis Machine and Brian Fury with their manager, the producer. It was a no contest.
I don't remember that at all.
Shiny Shirt, the producer.
What's his gimmick?
He was the producer of the team.
And he wore a shiny shirt?
Yeah.
Okay.
He might have had a cane, too.
Your dad did a segment on the
Yeah.
show with Eddie the Jock. Well, I know we're
first show.
jumping around here. No. This is the... Well, what did he do on the first
I
show?
thought that was the first show he did that.
No, because I have this because he did it to set up the Eddie the Jock Juggernaut match.
Oh, so it was the second show he did.
So the second show,
Okay.
do you remember the in-ring segment so I don't have to spell it out?
Yeah, my dad basically smashed a pizza and Eddie the Jock off.
Yeah. So Eddie the Jock, the heel, that's all over the show.
Someone just brought that up of how they tweeted at me how one of their fondest memories is watching my dad smash. For some reason, they thought it was a scalding hot slice of pizza
Just
in
fresh,
a man's face. Yeah.
fresh out of the oven. I'll never forget it.
Yeah.
The dude's face was burned. I could see the flesh melting off his face
I don't think it was
onto the
scalding
pizza.
hot.
Yeah,
I don't think they
yeah.
just pulled it out of the oven. But I don't know. that's how pizza works. You
But-
don't make one slice.
So your dad, he might have missed his call. He probably should have been working in a pizzeria, right? Because he's in the ring and Eddie the Jock's cutting this promo, and your dad's just like, the facial expressions, everything. He's in the moment, and as Eddie's insulting his pizza, you don't like my pizza, huh? And he just shoves it in his face, and then it goes. That distracts him enough because he's blinded for the Juggernaut to slide into the ring and start, throwing arguably the realest punches I've ever seen, probably because he didn't know how to pull them. But did your dad do any other in-ring segments throughout the course of the Gargano shows? I heard, before you say anything, that there was just a show like a month ago, which somehow I didn't hear about it.
Yeah.
It happened at Gargano's Catering from Rubber City Wrestling based out of Akron.
Yeah,
What?
Unbeknownst to me, I found out, I think, when I was in town for the David and Joku softball game, that this was happening. It was happening on like Money in the Bank weekend too, like, so I was obviously busy.
Yeah.
But no, my dad did a segment there as well. He slapped the guy.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So, but my dad called me after the fact.
Okay.
And he was like, "Did you get the?" Because my stepmom did. He said like, did you get the videos and stuff that she sent you? And like, I got them. Yeah. She's like, "You see me? I like slapped a guy."
Well, you have the video?
In a grainy version of it. Yes.
I don't care. I need to see it.
Yeah, a grainy version of it. Yes.
Okay.
He's like, I slapped a guy. I was like, yeah, that's cool. He's like, I felt like a real rock star up there. And I was like, well, I'm glad that you know. He's like, all these people were coming up and getting me, and like.
I don't remember if it was the pizza spot. I think maybe it was, but I remember your dad cutting a promo.
Yeah.
A couple of those shows.
Yeah, my dad's quite the showman.
Yeah.
This looks like This says August 10th, 1997, so this would be CWA Back Alley Brawl 2. Brian Ireland versus Elvis Elliott in a time limit draw, 10 minutes. Logan Kane, Mickey Dahmer, and Silverado defeated Mr. Main Event, Sheik Abdul Hassan, and The Crow.
I was there for that.
Any of those ring a bell for
Not
you, Johnny?
For me. I mean, not really, no.
What about not Silverado?
Not really.
The Juggernaut's always told stories about Silverado. He just passed away like in the last 5 years.
I don't remember, no.
Okay. Scott Stone defeats the Bounty Hunter. Best of 3 series match number 2, Strap. Juggernaut defeats Roadhog with Buddha.
Yeah, that was after, I guess, Roadhog and Juggernaut had a falling out.
Okay. Best of 3? What were the other 2 matches, Johnny?
I don't know. Why are you asking me?
What can you imagine that the other 2 matches would have been if this was the strap match?
I do remember the strap match. I want to say it had a wonky finish as well.
Oh, no, you don't
But
say.
I don't remember what it is.
What? Okay.
I do remember it was...
Gee, I wouldn't have believed that. 3-way elimination. Doink the Clown defeats Angel Torres and Lord Zoltan.
Wow, that's a weird match.
With Drew Lazario?
Yeah, hot shot, Drew Lazario.
What's his deal?
Shiny shirt.
Okay.
Every manager
All right,
shiny
yeah.
shirt. Hot Topic was big back then.
Do you have the choice if you want to wear sunglasses or not, or
Yeah,
if you
wore
have
sunglasses.
Okay, all
We
right.
all wore
All right,
sunglasses.
wasn't sure.
And then there was a guy that managed up in Michigan who had that type of gimmick, but he was blind in real life.
Okay, all right.
So his glasses were justified.
Yeah. That makes sense. Now again, Johnny, you said your dad usually paid for the names to come in. How did you feel when Samu defended the CWA heavyweight title against the Hangman in 13 seconds? How do you think your dad felt about that? 13 seconds.
Again, I don't know if my dad was paying attention.
Not paying
much.
attention. Okay.
And also,
Right.
I want to point this out. People thought that was cool. Like, man, a champion's just running roughshod. He just, beats everybody up in 13
Sure.
seconds.
Yeah. I'm sure Samu really got it over too. Like, brother, we only gotta go
Simone Spike.
20, 10 seconds. We're out of there. CWA Tag Team Title Theater of Pain versus Eddie Kaufman, Lixie Sack. That is a no contest. Go figure. And of course, Jimmy Snuka defeats Heavy Metal Maniac. They went 18 minutes.
Oh,
Listen.
see, there you go, main event.
A lot of controversy surrounding Jimmy Snuka, but when he did indie shows, he put some work in.
I want to say he hit that splash.
He probably did.
Dude,
Now,
he had stomach cancer, right? Do you guys remember this, Snuka?
at what point?
Late. I don't
Okay.
know, probably 2005, I would say.
Okay.
And he worked this show for that, I don't know. Anyway, he worked this show, and he jumped off the top with Superfly Splash. Mick Foley was a special guest referee, counted the 3, And Foley got in and cut this promo and said, "You guys don't know this, and he doesn't want you to, but Jimmy Snuka has stomach cancer,
Wow.
and
Oh, my
he
God.
just jumped off the top rope and hit this guy with a splash. You guys got your money's worth."
Wow.
And then he smoked a whole pack of cigarettes.
I'm
afterwards. Menthols, brother.
Oh, brother. CWA Back Alley Brawl, 1998. This was August 2nd, 1998. It says it's Gargano's Catering.
It's not.
It says parking lot open air arena. So
Is
maybe
that what it's called?
I don't know. I don't know why this says something different, but it says Gargano's Restaurant and Lounge Back Alley Parking Lot Open Air Arena on
What are
Cage
the
Match.
matches?
Opening match was Candyman versus Dick Rickerless.
I don't know.
Is it supposed to be Dick Licker? Is that the pun that they're trying to go for?
What pun are they making?
Dick
Oh,
Rickerless.
no, yeah, that's
What
the
what
pun
is
they're going for.
what pun are they? They're trying for some sort of pun here.
Ridiculous?
Dick Rickulous?
Yeah, they just replaced the ridiculous. They just changed the words.
That was quite the stretch, though. 26
Well, you-
seconds there.
I mean,
26 seconds. Nice.
Yeah, a submission match. General Casey Stryker defeats Coyote.
Striker, I remember, because that was Rod's partner
Okay.
against Juggernaut and Gmo in Pittsburgh.
Loser leaves CWA, and I'm sure they left forever. Doink the Clown defeats Eddie Kaufman. 11 minutes. Roadhog versus and defeats Nick Maddox.
okay.
The Crow defeats Crowbar.
Oh,
What? Wow. I guess Crowbar was a staple of the Indies back then.
That might not be the same.
yeah. I
guy.
mean,
Yeah,
it's the same guy.
actually,
It's
to be
definitely
fair,
not the
yeah,
same
yeah,
guy.
Yeah, that might actually. It's like Psycho or Falls Count Anywhere. Lixie Sack defeats Gmo, and of course,
What? Gmo lost against. I guess it's not Theater of Pain, but still.
I guess maybe there was some shenanigans because Lixie Sack had Silverado
Oh.
in his corner. CWA heavyweight title match with special guest referee Eddie Kaufman, who, if you recall,
Yeah, he lost.
loser leaves town match.
As a wrestler.
Earlier
and then
in
he
the
came
show.
back as a referee.
Oh.
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Maybe
He's an
that
official
works.
now.
Sheik Abdul Hassan defeats Jimmy Snuka by DQ in 4 minutes 56 seconds. I'm trying to see if anything else is listed from the cage match on here with like a lineup of matches.
Johnny, were you at the one with Juggernaut wrestled on top of the semi-truck at some kid's birthday party?
I'm trying to remember now.
Okay, so here's one thing I really remember was Silverado invited the fans during intermission into the ring, and he just started superplexing them.
I don't remember that.
Oh,
Okay,
Yeah,
and
I mean-
Samu, I was talking with Samu. I don't know why. Maybe I was in his way or something. And he goes, "Hey, is this guy really doing this right now?" And I'm like, "Oh God, he's serious. You know, this is real now." And I said, "It sure looks like it." And Samu went into the ring and just started beating the crap
Wow.
out of Silverado for real.
Yeah.
And it was longer than 13 seconds.
Do you have a favorite memory from Gargano's Catering outside of the actual wrestling, or a couple of favorite memories? Because I mean, again, like you worked there a lot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's hard to say like one particular like favorite memory, just because like I pretty much had my whole life there.
Yeah.
So it's like I can't like specify like one thing. Like when you think of the fact that like I had just so many birthday parties and so many holidays and so many, just like I said, like I worked there for so many days. I think just my favorite memory would just be just so like every summer when I'd be out of school, my mom I'd be with my dad while he was at work, and I think just my favorite memory is just kind of hanging around with my dad.
Yeah.
Like I just remember like having my wrestling action figures there, and like he had a pool table, and the pool table would be like my ring, and I'd just like have my wrestling action figures and have like these storylines and things that I would come up with, and just all around like just going out with my dad and like going with him and going to different catering jobs and like going to the Natural History Museum and going with him to different hospitals and stuff. And like when you think about my dad's restaurant, I think about me going on deliveries with him. I've talked about this, but like I remember like going with him to like different hospitals and being like, man, and this is a crazy thing to say now, but I remember going with him to like Cleveland Clinic and be like, man, I hope one day I get really seriously injured so I can come and like get like a sweet like video montage of me at the Cleveland Clinic, like
Okay.
Triple H.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense, you know.
So like, I remember thinking like that whenever we go to all the different hospitals and stuff. But yeah, just growing up there, I remember after school every day, just like sitting there, watching cartoons, eating a big bowl of cheese ravioli, drinking a Tahitian treat,
Yeah.
and just like that was my childhood.
Little chubby Johnny Gargano.
Chubby Johnny Gargano, yeah. And then we talk about too, like most Christmases, most Thanksgivings was at my dad's restaurant because my dad would cater for the steel mill workers. So we would spend most Christmases and most Thanksgiving like doing that.
Yeah.
So like I said, like I was always at that restaurant.
Yeah.
For all these big events in my life. So yeah, I mean I can't quantify just one, but just basically like my whole life of just being there.
Yeah. Well,
If you really want to be sad, a lot of my action figures that I had from my childhood, I had like restaurant-specific ones that I always used to play with when I was younger. They were still there. So if you really want to be sad, assume
weren't they
they're
in the
not.
basement though?
Yeah.
I, you don't think anything in the basement is
I don't know.
salvageable?
Like I said, we'll see tomorrow when I go. But
You know, I almost forgot. Probably the last show of significance that was there was when PWO ran there.
yeah, and you almost died, right?
I almost I got yet another concussion behind Gargano's Catering. You were there for that,
Yeah,
Aaron.
that's one of my favorite memories.
That was where. So since you saw all the Gargano's Catering shows,
Yeah.
where would you rank that one in terms of terribleness? Because I feel like let's ignore the injury part, the fact that I had to
Sure.
get carted across the street.
Yeah.
That day was so hot.
Yeah.
There was like, being nice, 30 people there,
Yeah.
and we had to tape 3 episodes of TV. How bad was that show compared to all the others?
I don't remember much of that show. I remember that I had a show somewhere out of town the night before, so I flew in that morning.
Okay.
So I remember I was very tired. But I don't remember much of the actual show itself.
Well, neither do I.
Yeah.
I do remember my match.
You remember, I've talked about this before for you, but that's when I knew like you were going to be something in professional wrestling other than PWO guy or indie guy, because you were a leader at that moment. Wally said he was going to continue with the show.
Oh, yeah, I shut the show
must
down.
go on.
Yeah, I shut the show
yeah,
down.
we feel bad for Greg, but show must go on. And Johnny said, no, I'm not doing the rest of the show. I'm walking out now. And I was like, oh.
So to lay it out real quick, we're doing a tag match. It's me and Zach Gowen teaming like maybe for the first time ever. This is 2012, and it's we're taking on Cursed, which is Eric Ryan, and CK3, which at the time was Crimson. He still wrestles
Like
as
the
Crimson,
Mask.
like the Mask. And we're doing this tag match. And early on in the match, I remember we had planned a spot where going into a cutoff where I hit him with a head scissors. I was gonna go for just like a step up Rana, and he was gonna catch me and powerbomb me. Well, I don't know what happened, because even watching the footage, because we aired it on TV, it didn't look like a crazy powerbomb. But however it happened, I ended up just instantly being knocked out. Tom Dunn, who was reffing the match, claims that he heard me snoring. Instantly, his instincts kicked in. He sees there's a piece of gum in my mouth. He puts the finger in and takes the gum out of my mouth. And then what I remember is how bad have you ever been concussed, Johnny? Because I remember this one. This is the only one that I can I was in and out for. Like I felt like a dream.
Yeah.
So I remember there was Pedro, the ring announcer, was above me, but it didn't seem real, and Wally was there, and then the paramedic, for some reason I thought was my dad, and I remember him wearing a paramedic shirt, and I remember thinking, why is my dad my paramedic right now? Should I ask him if he's my dad? It was a weird feeling, and then vaguely I remember getting into onto the stretcher and putting in the ambulance, and then I come out of whatever I was in, and I'm in the hospital.
Yeah.
You ever have something like that?
No, I've never thought that a paramedic was my dad.
Well, I mean, have like a dream-like feeling after
No.
getting your head knocked. It was terrible.
Not like that.
But yeah, and in that moment when all that happened, we had one more taping. The crowd that was already not very up was completely dead at this point.
Yeah,
And you
yeah.
stepped up and you said something.
Yeah, I believe I maybe talked to the crowd as well. I believe I
Did
might
you?
have. I think I might have.
Okay.
Sounds like something I would do.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we stopped the show because
Yeah.
you had to go. Luckily, there's a hospital across the street.
Yeah, worked out for the best.
Yeah.
I'm sure they liked getting that $500 for a trip.
Oh.
right across the road there, and good times. We lived to talk about it, and
PWO paid for everything?
yeah, of course they did, sure. But the situation sucks, and we don't know exactly what's going to happen next. But I really do feel like, people should speak a Gargano's Pizza pop-up into existence for SummerSlam weekend. So if anybody listening to this has the means of doing that,
Yeah.
I feel like they should get something going, because I think that would be really cool with the influx of wrestling fans in the city.
I will say, once I put out like the post about what happened to my dad's restaurant, everyone has been very supportive. Everyone's been very cool.
Well, that's the thing. Like wrestling fans get a bad rap sometimes.
For sure,
But
yeah.
when bad stuff happens,
They back their own, yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it is an amazing community, and like I can't thank everyone enough. Like I'm obviously not gonna be able to reply and like everything and repost everything, but I appreciate everyone reaching out. I appreciate everyone with their well wishes and stuff like that. And I told you this, but literally 3 minutes after I made that post, Hunter already reached out. Hunter said, "Hey, if there's anything we can do, please
Yeah.
let him know." And that just speaks to I'm extremely lucky to work for a company like WWE that supports their talent like that, and I don't know, I'm lucky that we have such a great community and a great fan base that they have our back. And I know everyone's like, "Oh, you should do this, you should do that." We'll figure out what's next, and we'll figure out the best means to help my dad going forward.
heck yeah. And, finishing off on a super huge positive, obviously, next Saturday, SummerSlam
Yeah.
weekend here in Cleveland.
Uh-huh.
I'm sure in some form or fashion you're going to be representing Cleveland as one half of the tag team champions with Tomasso, potentially doing it inside of Brown Stadium. What a surreal feeling, especially for a kid that went to SummerSlam 1996 in the Gund Arena, and now for the first time ever we have wrestling inside of Cleveland Brown Stadium. What are your feelings going into this?
I said this is the biggest weekend probably in Cleveland wrestling history in a very, very long time. And the fact that a kid from Cleveland is able to be a champion for WWE and return home as a champion is something I'm extremely proud of. I am so proud of Cleveland, Ohio. So proud to be from Cleveland, Ohio. In every media interview I do, I make it a point to state, like I said, we're doing this interview right here in my home in Avon, Ohio. I choose to live here. I think I might be one of the only active guys currently that work for WWE that choose to live in Cleveland, Ohio. I didn't move anywhere else by choice. And the fact that all these people from all over the world are going to come to Cleveland and see what we have to offer and realize how great of a place this is. I wish that they could see my dad's restaurant as well, but at least they're going to come and have a good time and enjoy what our city has to offer.
How emotional was that tag team title victory for you? Because obviously, you've put it over for years that to you the NXT was the main roster, is the main roster.
Still believe that too.
Yes, for sure. And but NXT wasn't around when you were a kid.
Yeah.
These are belts that are around when you were a kid, and this is your first taste of something like that on the main roster, as most people would refer to. And I was emotional watching it. How did you feel in that moment?
I think, and you've known me long enough to know that I kind of detach myself sometimes, and I don't really live in the moment, and I don't appreciate things until they're gone.
For sure.
Like a lot of people do.
Yeah.
But thinking about the fact that I literally had a foam version of this title that is sitting next to me currently, and now I have the real thing, is pretty cool. At the end of the day, when my career is over with and everything's said and done, I was able to accomplish something that not a lot of people get a chance to do. There's so many guys out there that, dream of an opportunity like this, dream of holding a title like this, and the fact that we made it happen is just so incredibly cool. And I say all the time how lucky I am, and I do believe I am lucky to be able to be in this position that I'm in.
Well, no matter what happens, I hope come next weekend you take a moment to let it all sink in and appreciate the opportunity, and something that, who knows if we'll ever see this again in Brown Stadium.
Probably not. If they're going to move the stadium, we probably won't.
That's also
I
true.
think my dog, my crazy dog, just got here, and my wife just got here as well.
There we go. Well, let's wrap it up.
Yeah.
Let's go say hi to the wife.
Yeah,
and,
Candace here. Okay, bye everybody.
Bye. That was our conversation with Johnny Wrestling.
Man, that
and
flew by, didn't it?
It did. It was very emotional. It was nice to, talk about the unfortunate event that went down. They're saying on the news that it was like $700,000 worth of damage done in that general area on West 25th. It's a sad situation. It's a big loss to the community over there, and
Yeah, it really got me when Johnny talked about how this was the weekend. This SummerSlam weekend would have been the biggest grossing weekend in his father's company's history.
You know what, though? Listen, I said it like 2 times on the show.
I
I'm gonna
like
say
that
it again.
idea.
I'm saying it again. I didn't think about that going into it.
Yeah.
Someone needs to help organize Gargano's Pizza pop-up SummerSlam weekend here in
Yeah,
Cleveland.
so somebody needs to bring this to Fruitration.
We need to bring it to Fruitration. If you've never listened to the show, you know Fruitration's an inside joke for those that don't understand it. Fruition. We need to make this happen because the good folks of Cleveland and abroad need to understand how great Frank Gargano is, how delicious his food is. They need to taste it, all right? You got to taste the best. In fact, I want to plug it real quick. If we don't get Gargano's Catering or Gargano's Pizza, that's going to be a sad situation. But while you're in town SummerSlam weekend, you can check out Brew Nuts. You should probably come out Thursday, August 1st, because I'm going to be hosting WWE Trivia over at the Brew Nuts. It's a donut establishment. It also sells coffee and brews. I heard a little rumor that they're going to have Steve Austin's IPA. So if you've never tried that, you could try that over at Brew Nuts.
Back in the day,
Mm-hmm.
I used to slam a few of those beers.
Oh, yeah.
They were hard to get at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So going up to Brew Nuts and getting yourself a stone cold beer IPA,
Yes.
Broken Skull, I think is the thing to move. That's the move. Nothing goes better with a jelly donut than an ice cold beer.
You know what? Jelly donut.
What?
Just saying a jelly donut is really downplaying the quality of Brew Nuts. I
Okay,
mean,
creme brulee.
They do top of the line gourmet donuts. They're going to have a bunch of wrestling themed donuts that night. Of course, you can win prizes with the trivia, and who knows what surprises may be in store. Who might show up at Brew Nuts? You never know.
I don't know. You nuts.
You'll have to be there from 7 to 9. You can come in a little earlier if you want. They're open all day
Yeah,
long.
I prefer 6 to 9.
But all right, 7 to 9, they'll be doing trivia on Thursday, August 1st. I'll be your host along with one time, I guess, backstage interviewer, commentator Michael Cash from Pro Wrestling Ohio. 6501 Detroit Avenue in Cleveland, Ohio. 44102 is that zip code. Come on out, 7 to 9. There'll be 2 rounds of trivia, prizes in store, and good times had by all.
Hey, I got a quick question. I remember Johnny Gargano had a donut named after him after he debuted in WWE, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And it was from a different donut company, and I'm not sure
No.
what the flavor was.
It was Brew Nuts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not sure what the flavor was, but what donut would you have named after you?
Oh, God. You put me on the spot here.
Yeah.
Do you have something in mind? Are you trying to
Well,
make fun
no,
of me?
for me, I'd get one of those real long ones, cream-filled.
Okay. All right.
One of the long boys. Yeah, I don't know about you if they make like a real tiny donut. Oh, the little munchkins, those little donut holes.
Okay.
You'd get one of those probably.
I think you're getting slap happy.
No, it'd be like your little muscles.
We don't need to be talking about dong nuts on the show, okay?
Don,
You're getting out of control here. All right? It's unnecessary. This is a family show sometimes.
you're a family.
But that's the end of the podcast this week. Actually, we're going to do some extended stuff over on patreon.com/Iron on Wrestling, where you get a buttload of bonus content starting at $3. You can get audio starting at $3, and that includes the Alyssa Milano episode that Johnny alluded to on this free version here. You can get video for $5, and your name will be included in the videos that we put up over on YouTube. $9 is the best tier to subscribe to. You get involved in the chat that we have once a month, but also you get to pick bonus podcast subject. You get first priority on questions that we answer on the show. You can go up and up and up in the tiers. You can get stuff in the mail from us. We'll be sending some down in September, but you have to be subscribed for at least 2 months to get one of those packages. So what are you waiting for? Subscribe now. It's the best way to support the show. And if you're not going to support the show on Patreon, we still love you. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube. Make sure you follow us on social media. Leave a review wherever you download podcasts. It helps create visibility for the podcast. And that's it until next week. Follow me on social media. I'm at Gregory Iron on Twitter. at Gregory_Iron on Instagram, Facebook.com/The Handicapped Hero. You can direct message me for pro wrestling, motivational speaking, and or pro wrestling seminars. I'm on Cameo. I can give you a shout out of some sort. Just search Gregory Iron. ProWrestlingTees.com/Gregory Iron for my shirts, Aaron shirts, Iron on wrestling shirts. Aaron, what would you like to plug?
At Fair to Air on X.
I like the sound of that. Please don't call it X, though. It's
Okay.
Twitter.
All right.
It's Twitter. It'll always
Twitter.
be Twitter. I want to tweet you right now.
All right.
All right?
Well, let's get to getting.
A little birdie told me it's time to end the show.
Tweet, tweet.
Can I have a kiss goodbye? Bye-bye.